Hi there, welcome to Hudson Piano Studio. I want to take 5 minutes or so and give you some valuable info about what to expect as your family is part of the studio. We're going to discuss practicing, concert performances, and some practical tips for you guys to become an active member of the studio. My name is Derek Hudson. I am the owner and operator of the studio, and I am a full-time in-home and online teacher with about 65 students currently. I have an undergrad in music education and a master's in piano performance. I have a passion for seeing others learn to love and appreciate this amazing and versatile instrument. I have been married for 10 years in 2021 to my beautiful wife, Aubrey. We have three awesome kids, two active boys named Maddox and Everett, and a beautiful baby girl named Evelyn. If you are new to the studio, I want to say welcome to you, and I'm so glad to be partnering with you to bring music right to your home. If you are a current family in the studio, I want to say thank you for allowing me the privilege of working with your family and being a part of your lives. As we are on this journey of learning a musical instrument, I feel like in many cases that I am becoming a part of your family because I'm in your home either online or in person week after week. Not many people are invited into your home outside family on such a consistent basis. And in many cases, I get to walk with families with a child from kindergarten all the way through high school. And this leads to me definitely caring about your family and your kids. Piano is something that benefits the entire family. So imagine sitting around singing songs together at Christmas or really anytime. Music brings joy and life to your home. So even if other family members are not learning to play, they're still hearing music and they're still experiencing it. Aubrey and I love to sing and play on a consistent basis, which often leads to family dance parties with our boys. And that's so much fun and joy. I do want to talk to you about levels of piano. We have three different levels of skill. When I was growing up, I took Taekwondo for about 8 years. And it was really clear the steps, how you graduated to the next level. You have the white belt and then the yellow belt, and so on, all the way up to the black belt. In piano, there are three levels of skill, and if a student practices on a consistent basis, they can move through the levels at approximately this amount of investment and time. So the first one we have is beginner, and that's typically in years 1 through 3. This is when students begin reading notes confidently. They're in C position and G position. They learn the foundational elements of music, including rhythm and note values, highs and lows, louds and softs, that kind of thing. They will begin playing songs that they recognize and enjoy. So that's years 1 through 3. As they progress a little bit more, we hit the intermediate years, which is typically years 4 through 6. They expand their note reading to all over the keyboard. They play more fluidly. They play more complex things. They can discover different styles as they begin exploring and have ability to play with others in a band setting if they choose to do so. After someone moves through the intermediate, they hit advanced. Typically, this is in the years 7 and beyond. They can explore more complex styles and rhythms and the ability to play like jazz and blues. They can even make their own music and compose if they want to. And this is really when you start to begin enjoying the fruits of the labor that you put in. It usually takes about 10,000 hours to master an instrument, and this happens in the years 7 plus. We have so much freedom to sit down and play anything that we want to in those years. So my goal is to be able to teach every student through till they graduate from high school. And pacing is a little different for every child. The goal is to be having them playing confidently by the time they graduate from high school, and they can play as an adult in whatever capacity that they want. As I get to know your child through your piano lessons, you are the expert on your child, not me. So always feel free to let me know if your child is having a tough week, if they haven't had the chance to practice, and together we can make a great influence in your child's life. I recently read that it's important to have 5 adult influences in your child's life to speak truth into them and support what you are saying as a parent. And this often happens with coaches and family members, teachers, which is me. Aubrey and I are grateful for the boys who have started preschool because they have another adult in their life who can reinforce the values that we're teaching at home, and they can hear truth from another person besides us. A lot of times kids have parent ears, and sometimes they close off to what's being said simply because it's coming from a parent. So I can be that second voice that reinforces what you're saying and speak truth to them when it's appropriate to do so. I'm not just trying to teach your child piano, I'm trying to help them become the most positive and whole and healthy adults that they can be. And music is the platform for me to do that. Music can always be a positive place for them to go in their life in the future. And they may not necessarily major in it in college, but they can appreciate music and can incorporate it into other areas of their life, like learning determination, stick to itness, and discipline. I love the story of the three bricklayers. One guy is asked, why is he building a wall? And he says, well, what I'm doing is just I'm laying the bricks down, and I'm just laying bricks. That's it. And they asked the next guy, and he said, I'm building a wall. And the next guy said, I am building a cathedral. And so I see working with your kids as building a cathedral. They have great potential in them, not only as a musician, but as a person. And I want to develop them in that. I had a piano teacher from second to ninth grade that believed in me as a person. And then I had a teacher later in life that was really just all about the music and didn't really necessarily care about me as a person. And I look back and really value my time with that relational teacher. Let's talk a little bit about practicing. I like to have Mr. D's rule of five. So when you're thinking about practicing, if you can practice 5 days a week, which gives you 2 days off, and then whatever they're assigned, practice that 5 times a day. So if they're assigned 2 songs for the week, have them play that 5 times a day and then 5 days a week. If they can do that, then that usually gets them to where they need to go on the practicing front. On the recital front, we have two main concerts every year. We have Mr. D's spring concert, which always happens the Sunday between Mother's and Memorial Day. And then we have Mr. D's Candy Corny concert, which is always the day before Halloween. I prepped your students for that a couple of months ahead of time, and then those usually happen virtually and sometimes in person when it's not COVID. Let's talk a little bit about parent involvement. So we have in the preschool department, if you have a child that's taking if you have a child that is taking in the age of 4 years old, something like that, 4 to 5, I really think it's valuable for the parent to be present both at the lesson and during practice during the week. That's really valuable. It helps the parent to know what's going on. A lot of preschoolers are not self-directed quite yet, and so they need a parent to help them. When the kid hits kindergarten in that 5 to 6 range, I think it's important for parents to be present at practice. You may not be able to be present during the actual lesson, and that's fine because I can usually communicate with them well in that range. But if you can be aware of what they're practicing, I always mark what they're practicing in the week with a check mark and the date, and that lets you know what they're working on that week. So that's in the kindergarten in that 5 to 6 range. The next one is elementary. And so this is if your child is in first through fifth grade and taking lessons, I just ask that you be aware of practice assignments. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're right there with them during practice, but it does mean that you're aware of what they're practicing, you're encouraging them to do that kind of thing. And then when they hit middle school and high school, there's a trust and independence that happens there where a child is a student at that point is aware of what they're practicing, and you as a parent trust and depend that they are doing what they're being asked to do. I will communicate to you as a parent if that's not happening, but typically in middle school and high school, that's what happens. Parents are aware that they're taking lessons and aware of what they're playing, but they're not necessarily involved in the day-to-day. So that's a little bit about parent involvement with your students. I do update on a regular basis. I update my Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube pretty much weekly. So be sure to check out those, subscribe to Hudson Piano Studio at all three of those platforms. And that allows you to be involved as a parent and see what's going on. It gives you tips about what you should be knowing as a parent. Thank you for the opportunity to be involved with your family. And I hope you have an awesome week, and we'll see you at your lesson.